You live, son? Hello, and welcome to another episode of Unboxed. Today's question: what do I do when my church is not living the Word of God? Stay tuned as we unboxed that answer.
I'm Dr. Robert Davis, family life educator and relationship coach, and welcome to Unboxed, a frank and straightforward conversation about relationships. We're going to talk about family, church, workplace, and all other types of relationships. Join me for the next few moments as we unbox the power and potential of relationships and help you to live your best life.
Hello once again, and welcome to Unboxed, where we unbox the power and potential of all relationships, family relationships, in-law relationships, workplace relationships, church relationships, any type of relationship that you can think about. We want you to live your life to its full potential, especially relative to relationships. On Sundays, starting this Sunday and moving forward, every Sunday we're going to be answering the questions that come in relative to church and various church relationships. And I'm going to read to your question in just a moment. So I want to encourage you to please send us your questions. You can send it through our website under Contact Us. You can send it through email at info@swg-unboxed.org, or you can direct message. Please don't put it in the comments, but you can direct message, and we want to answer your questions. Today, we have a question that has come in. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thumbs up, like, subscribe, and share. Even if this is something that may not help you, by sharing it, you may be able to help somebody else. All right, so today's question is very simple. Jonathan, who does not want his city to be identified, asked, my church is not following the Word of God and are allowing worldliness to come into the church. I have been to other churches, but I can't find a church in this area that lives according to the Bible. What should I do? Well, that's a very common question to some degree. There are a lot of people who are frustrated because they believe that, the church that they're attending or the churches in their area, are conforming to worldly standards and are kind of like letting any and everything coming to the church. I remember how much of a big uproar it was. This is in my lifetime. Big uproar there was when women started wearing pants to church. Katie barred the door. Everything was going down the tubes. I remember in certain churches when they began to allow drums to come in. I'm talking about in both the Baptist churches as well as, Methodist churches. We used to have what was referred to as a high worship experience. And so when churches, and I'm a member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, when they started bringing in drums and more classical music, I remember James Cleveland caused people to lose their minds because he would take tunes that were from popular R&B songs and then turn them into gospel songs. Probably the most famous of all of them is Jesus is the Best Thing That Ever Happened to Me, which was a remake of the song You're the Best Thing That Ever Happened to Me by Gladys Knight. So this is something that's been going on for a while, and I want to spend a little time, unpacking it with you. So again, like, subscribe, and share. And if you want to, please be so kind as to give a tax deductible contribution to help us with the work that we're doing in our community. All right, Jonathan, let's go ahead and unbox this. There is this dynamic in relationships as we come into a relationship system like a church, where we are distraught that they're not following the Bible the way that we understand and the way that we believe it should be followed. There is this common thing in relationships called the togetherness and separateness forces. And to make it as simple as possible, in any relationship, we want to be together with those that are in a relationship, while at the same time we want to maintain our own identity, which is how much we're separated. So how much am I in a relationship where I am connected to others, but am able to maintain my own self and my own identity? Now, the less of a self-identity we have, the more we end up borrowing identity from others. This is often seen in wanting others to conform to the way we do things or us conforming to the way others do things. So with the less of my own self, and I'm gonna use a fancy word called differentiation, the less differentiated I am in a relationship, the more I will want others to either, think, believe, and act like me, or the more I will end up thinking, believing, and acting like the others in the relationship. And so that's that push for togetherness that is just common in all relationships. And the less emotionally mature we are, the more it ends up impacting the way that we think and the feelings that we have in those relationships. But the more secure that we are in our relationship with God, and the more well-defined of a self we possess, it is easier for us to allow others to be themselves while at the same time maintaining our own principles. So I told you before, years and years ago, I remember when people started getting in an uproar about women wearing pants to church. Now, a person who is very mature, emotionally mature, would say, you know what, as a female, I'm not going to wear pants to church because I do not personally believe that is appropriate. However, if that's a choice that you make, then you know what? I'm going to allow you to live out your own principles, live out your own understandings and your belief, while at the same time, I'm going to make sure that I live according to the principles that I believe in. Does that make sense? And so the more mature we are, the easier it is to be in relationship with those who look, think, believe, and act different than we do. One of the most mature person, I believe, the most mature person that has ever walked this planet was Jesus from Galilee, a little city called Galilee. And Jesus didn't need others to conform to his way of thinking, and he didn't conform to other individuals' ways of thinking and behaving. But this is what Jesus did. Jesus spoke the truth. He openly, freely, and clearly shared his ideas, his beliefs, and his principles. And out of all the people that ever walked the planet, the person who was the most principle-centered that I've ever studied is Jesus Christ. He remained, and this is something that was very important about Jesus. Jesus remained in contact with those who did not think or believe or behave like him, and he allowed others to maintain their own individuality. Now, he encouraged people and said, this is the best way to live. But even though the Pharisees disliked him, mistreated him, even though they lied on him and scandalized his name and everything else, even though they had no intentions on living out the principles of love and gentleness and meekness and forgiveness that Jesus Christ espoused, one of the things that you'll notice about Jesus is he remained in contact with him. There are so many stories in the Bible about how Jesus would go over to various Pharisees and the leaders of the synagogues and eat dinner at their house. He would fellowship with them, eat with them. I'll be honest with you, politicians in Washington, D.C. can learn a lot from Jesus Christ. You don't think like me. You don't believe like me. You don't treat people like the way I treat or the way that I teach people should be treated. I'm going to remain in contact with you. And actually, he remained in contact with them until they ultimately killed him. And one of the last things that Jesus said that I thought was just so revealing about how emotionally mature he was is that when they were questioning him about his teachings and his thoughts and his beliefs, he said this right here. He said, I openly taught in your synagogues and in the temple, and I did nothing in secret. Everyone heard me. And that is just so profound that he was able to say, I remained in contact with y'all. I never withdrew. I never cut y'all off. I never distanced myself from you. I remain in contact. And in that relationship, without getting upset and demanding that, you believe what I believe and do the way things I did, I shared with you what I thought. I shared with you my principles. I shared with you my ideas. And then I gave you space, like a story of a rich young ruler who came to Jesus, and Jesus genuinely taught him that he should sell all of his possessions, give it to the poor, and become one of his disciples, one of Jesus' disciples, which means he would travel from city to city, preaching and teaching and helping Jesus' ministry. He told the rich young ruler this. The rich young ruler said, no, that's not something I'm interested in. And he went his way. And Jesus didn't hound him down, didn't, point fingers at him. You're going to hell. He didn't Bible thump the man. He said, okay, that's a choice that you have made. I disagree with that decision. But you know what? I have shared with you what my thoughts, what my beliefs, what my principles are, and I'm going to allow you to live yours. And that is a sign of intense maturity. Now, here's one of the parts that, to that question, Jonathan, that a lot of people ask. And again, like, subscribe, and share as I come to the close. Here's a part of that question that a lot of people ask, and that's this right here. What about the practices of these churches that are not following the word of God? And here's what I want to do. I want to ask you this, Jonathan. When you say not following the word of God, are they abusing people? Are they willfully breaking God's commandments? Or are they operating and practicing certain things that you just don't agree with? Again, music or dress, or you don't personally believe that women should be in the pulpit or should preach or whatever it may be. These are some ideas that are still very popular. And I'm not trying to put that off on you, Jonathan, but I'm just saying, is it stuff like this that are preferences? Or, are they offering, sacrifices to Dagon? Are they practicing something? Are they drinking blood and all this other stuff? Well, then, you say, hold on, hey, that's a bridge too far. That's just, contrary to moral decency, as well as contrary to what the Bible explicitly teaches. I can't be a part of this. Or is it more preferential stuff? And I just believe that individuals, is it just that I just believe that this is the way that church is supposed to operate? This is the way that you're supposed to walk and talk and behave when you're inside of this building that we have labeled a church. Which one is it? And that is very important to understand. And I want to end by saying this. Rather than becoming frustrated that there are no churches who believe the way that you believe and operate the way that you operate, Jonathan, what I would strongly encourage is for you to live a godly example, for you to live a life that is based on principles of love, kindness, and righteousness, for you to live a life that is based on the principles that Jesus espoused when he was here on earth. Most churches get an awful lot of preaching. I pastored for 22 years and I preached my heart out. Oh boy, I gave it everything I got. And then we had elders in the church who preached. We brought in guest speakers. We had revivals. We had a week of prayers. We had weekend revivals. I mean, we had the whole kit and caboodle. So churches typically get an awful lot of preaching. But what I would share with you is that rather than more preaching, rather than more demanding, that if you can just demonstrate and show by a godly example, I believe that will do more to help the church to move in the direction that God would have it to move than all the Bible thumping, frustration, preaching, and hollering could ever accomplish. When anyone can accurately observe what is going on in the system, as well as the part that they are playing, and when they can modify their own behavior, that's the best way to change the entire system more than anything else. Jonathan, I hope that this answer helped you to unbox all of the power and the potential that is right here with this relationship dynamic with your church. Again, my friends, like, subscribe, and share. And I will look forward. Thank you, Jimmy, for those encouraging words. I appreciate that. I'm always excited when people share words of encouragement. So please continue to do that. Continue to support Unboxed, and continue to watch, to like, to subscribe, and to share. And until the next time, you have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you again.
Seasoned with Grace, Unboxed also provides healthy relationship training and leadership development for businesses, churches, and community organizations. For a free consultation to discuss your team's needs, please contact us at our website at swg-unboxed.org. That's swg-unboxed.org.